Hello and welcome to the next episode in my track from scratch on the Sonicware Liven XFM tutorial series. So far, we have discussed what this process is going to look like. We've selected sounds. We've composed an A, B, and a C section, which we saved into the last three patterns in the second bank. We've then copied these out into an A, a B, a C, and an A section. So we have an A, B, C, A structured song. And we've gone through those parts and we've added some mutes and some other small edits to try and build a little bit of a contour. So initially I would say the contour that we've got works, but some of the sounds and some of the general production doesn't work exactly as we'd like it. To add a little bit more color and why I'm going to work the way that I am, I've mentioned previously that the parameter lock recording function is a little temperamental. By temperamental, I mean it's the equivalent of holding the parameter, the step buttons down while the knob is being turned as the sequence plays. What this means is if you were turning a knob slowly and there was no parameter value changed while a certain step played, then the parameter will not be locked for that step. In other words, we'll have breaks in our automation. This turns out to be quite inconvenient and you tend to have to go through and listen by ear and patch these up. I don't want to have to do that, so I'm only going to be making changes at the track level to improve the contour here. I could work differently, but that's where I'm going for brevity. So what do we have? We have an A, 1, 2, 3, a B, 1, 2, 3, 4, a C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and an A, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if I was to hit play now, this full arranged song would play back. But I know what I would like to do is to add a little bit more detail and some other variations. So I'm going to unselect all of these latter patterns, and I'm just going to hit play, and I'm going to play back only the A section. So I can already say I'd like the filter to be closed up. And maybe I can close it a little bit here. I like the bass though. I think the drums are maybe a little bit quiet. So let's go in and make that change. So pattern 1. Okay. So now let's load pattern 2. Let's open the filter a little bit more. Okay. And I think that probably works. And I said in pattern 3 I wanted the drums a little louder. Okay, so let's save that, test it. So you can see to pattern chain, I press pattern twice, and then I click the patterns that I would like to loop. Okay, I think I'm broadly happy with that, so let's move on to listening to the B section. So I think I might like in that fifth pattern to have the drums finish one bar early. And then I think in these last two patterns, I would like the filter to close on the lead and on the pad. So first thing I wanted to do is, let's load. Okay, so I remember before, last time we were making this, I mentioned that it would be a pain to get rid of the last bar of the drum part. That was because randomization was enabled. What I didn't think was I could just turn random step parameter down to off for this part, which allows me to now go in and erase this last, the last few beats of that. So let me listen to this pattern. And then one more kick. Okay, I think that works. So I'm going to save here. Now in these last two, I said I want to start closing the filter down on the parts that are playing. So let me load 6-1. I think the filter on the pad is probably fine. So let's save that one. Let's load the fourth one, let's listen. So let's turn the filter down a little. Okay, I think that works. So let's save that. And now let's pattern chain the B section and listen. So I think in that first pattern, I would like the drums to be a little louder. So let's turn those up. Okay, so let's save that again, pattern chain. So I like the drums finishing earlier, it breaks the pattern boundary a little. Okay, I think that works. So let's listen to the C section. So I think that main melody part is a little bit too strong, so I'd like to close the filter there. I like the bass. The filter can probably still be closed a little. So I think maybe I'd like to add some reverb to it, but let me just do the first changes that I described. So first I would like... Okay. So pattern chain, let's start listening again. So we can hear the filters closed. Filter opens a little, I like that. So I think in 10 and 11, I'm going to turn up the reverb on this lead part. And then in 12, I'm going to turn up reverb on the parts that are playing, just to add a bit more texture to it. Okay, so let's go to 10. Go to 11, turn it up some more. Okay. Maybe that's a little overboard, but I can deal with that. Okay. So let's listen through. Okay, I think that works. So let's jump to the final section. So this is a repeat of the A section, which is going to be a breakdown to the end. So I think I definitely want to start closing the filter for the lead on step 14 and 15, and then I need to figure out how to make that final note work a little better. I may change the lead melody slightly towards the end just to tie in with that. So let's see what we got. So let's save that. Next one. Let's do these a little bit. Okay. So let's save that. Okay, so I think I'm going to, for now, remove this last little pattern and play something in different. I don't know exactly what the different thing is going to be, but let me think about it a little. Okay, so I think that is going to be the final note on the next bar. Something like that. So I'm gonna try and play something in here. I think I'm gonna add one more note here. Okay, so let's see how that's gonna work for us. Actually, I think I'd rather that here. Let's pattern chain. In fact, let me just have a look at that. So what I just did there is when I went into pattern chaining mode, I actually hadn't saved, so I just removed the bit that I just played. So I'm gonna get it back again. sense? I'm going to save it, and now I'm going to pattern chain the last two, and let's see how it sounds. Okay, so I think what I'd like to do in this final pattern is have that as the final note. So let's go. Okay, so I think I need to trim these notes down a little bit. I think cut that down to there. And I think overall it's just going to be too loud, so I'm just going to try and turn everything down a bit. Okay, I think that works. So let's listen to the last section. Again, I think I need to turn the drums up here, so my general mix wasn't quite right. And I might like the bass to finish earlier. I think I'd like the bass part to finish here, so let's load this pattern. Let's look at the bass part, and let's look at the final page. Let's listen to it. So I think what I'm going to do is get rid of all of this and this. Okay, so I think that should work for us. Save here. Let's pattern chain again. I said I wanted to turn the drums up a little, so let's turn the drums up. Save, and let's try again. Close the filter on the pad a little bit here. I think that's going to do. Pattern 15. Okay. Final playthrough of this. Still not entirely happy with that last. What happens if I use a higher note? So let me clear that. Oh, somehow I did not record that. Yeah. Reverb. Okay, let's try saving that. Play the last two only. Okay, not great, but I think that just about wraps up what I was trying to illustrate. So now I'm going to play through the whole thing and we can hear how it works. So maybe the filter's a little too closed here, but I don't think it's worth going back and editing as we're just demonstrating. I think musically I'd have liked the bridge to be a little more different from the rest of it, but again, just for illustrative purposes. So the filter opening sounds a bit abrupt, so I could have gone in and recorded some parameter locks just to soften that, but I think it works. Similarly, the reverb coming in is a bit abrupt, could have done with being a little more gentle here. I quite like this break, but I think I would have rathered it just be 2 bars instead of 4, so that's something that I could have modified. Okay, so we haven't made the most interesting of tracks here, but I think what we have done is demonstrate a real end-to-end process where even though there isn't a song mode, and even though when in pattern chain mode, it's not particularly convenient to make changes that span across multiple patterns, it is possible with a little care to arrange something out here. Now, if I wanted to be a little safer in the way that I was approaching this, instead of working on top of the already saved patterns, I could have saved the original patterns instead of in the last 3 slots here. I could have saved them in another bank. Also, my initial arrangement, I could have saved it in another bank. It's not the most convenient thing in the world to copy between the banks, but you've seen me working with it. It's not tremendously difficult to do either. We would just be loading a pattern, saving, move to the next bank, pick the slot. I don't actually want to do that. Then load, go back to my other bank, pick a pattern, save to the other slot. So Yes, there'd be some manual work for doing it, but it would mean that if I made a mistake in part of my automation, I deleted something I didn't want to, it would be much easier to recover, because as with pretty much all devices of this type, there is no undo. So once you've made a decision, you just have to move forward. That may be you cleared some notes, well, just play them in again. Also, when making a track like this, you can make things much more refined by adjusting the velocity. And I find adjusting the velocity in parts I play in after the fact to be quite inconvenient. So a big upgrade to this process would be an external keyboard, primarily because FM sounds typically have quite interesting velocity modulations. They don't just change in volume, but they also change in timbre. I think that's everything that I wanted to discuss, and I think I've demonstrated everything that I wanted to demonstrate. So it suffices for me to say thank you very much for listening, everyone, and goodbye.